Welcome to the exhibition of Cats and Dogs at the National Gallery of Victoria. It's an extraordinary exhibition, all drawn from the collections of the National Gallery of Victoria, but in collaboration with our curatorial partners at ACME. And it is literally celebrating the cat and dog in society and in our lives.
So the main quality within the dog is faithfulness and loyalty, and that really comes out in most of the thematics in a slightly different way. So we start the exhibition with working dog, which although the dog works for humans in this sense as a hunting dog or guard dog, at the heart of that is loyalty, and that goes right through to our personal relationship with the dog, which we end the exhibition with faithful friends, and that really just celebrates our relationship and the faithfulness that the dog has to us, but also the duality. So we rely on them for companionship and love, and they also rely on us.
I think when artists have looked at cats, I think they're not just beautiful creatures, but the astonishing personalities of the cats all really burst forth out of the works. And whether it's a photograph of a cat, which is totally naturalistic, or an abstract work, I think the artists have still captured something about their quirky personalities and their individuality. Although we have over 100 images of cats in the exhibition, each work looks unique and it has unique qualities to it. The cats and the dogs in the exhibition are absolutely inspiring for all these artists.
Their presence alongside humans has always been to support society, whether that was guarding supplies or as a hunting dog or, managing flocks of sheep and cattle. So this thematic is the broadest in terms of time frame as well. It has our oldest piece in the show, which dates back to roughly 300 AD, which is a little figure of a guard dog, and then comes right through almost to contemporary works at the early mid-20th century.
And believe it or not, cats also came into our society as workers, because when people stopped being nomads and made the first settlements and grew crops and they had stores, the stores attracted mice, the mice attracted cats, and people picked up that, these cats are actually really good at keeping mice down, so why don't we try to bring them into our settlements and bring it into our society, and they will protect our grain stores and they'll protect our crops from birds. And so that's how cats became domesticated. They of course were wild animals.
To own a lapdog meant that it wasn't contributing to the household. So during the 16th century, if you owned one, it meant that you had enough finances to be able to upkeep that dog within the household when it wasn't providing anything back to you. So it really became emblematic of status and served to show that you were of a certain level of wealth, that you could not only afford to purchase one of these dogs, but to maintain it and look after it. And it also leads nicely into the accessorized section, which looks at the moment in history when the dog itself becomes an accessory. So whether that be on clothes or the dog itself, we see the dog going from being a symbol of status in one way through art to becoming a symbol of status in another way through itself.
People invest so many human traits into cats, and there are so many movies and cartoons of cats behaving like humans, so they become anthropomorphic. A wonderful contribution to the show is again from ACME, where we've had a small section on Felix the cat. Now Felix the cat is a very popular cartoon. I believe it's still being made today, but it was actually created in the early 20th century by an Australian animator called Pat Sullivan, who went to America in the early 20th century, and in 1919 he created this extraordinary creature called Felix the cat. And ACME have sourced a wonderful, very early Pat Sullivan cartoon of Felix the cat, but they've also lent a fantastic figurine from the early 1920s, and it's possibly one of the very early examples of merch. So the cat is sort of coming into our society in weird and wonderful ways.
If you look in the centre here, we do have quite a large number of works which are dedicated to children and dogs, which is really beautiful to see. And you can see the relationship, like you were saying, it actually continues beyond childhood into adulthood, and you end up with these really wonderful connections which are so emotive, and you can really feel them through the works when people have such a strong relationship to their animal. And it's also reflected in the cat side as well.
I think one of the interesting differences in the approach that artists have taken to draw of cats and dogs, images of dogs with people tend to be a little bit more in your face, and the dog is kind of front and centre, but they're making a statement where when you look at a lot of the images of the cats and dogs, we're almost voyeurs in looking at these scenes because these are very intimate scenes. I think that myriad of personalities that cats have is really what makes it makes the exhibition so, I think, interesting. And everybody is going to come to the show, they're going to identify with nearly every scene in the cats and in the dog side too. People will absolutely recognise the traits, whether it's their own pet, in their own pets or in other people's pets. They're gonna see, oh, my cat does that. No, my cat does that, but my cat does that better than this cat does. So I think people are going to have a lot of fun really engaging with so many of the works in the exhibition on both sides.